This is what's left of a Russian offensive. Minutes earlier, they were confident with their tanks, APCs, and billion-dollar anti-aircraft systems. Let me show you how it all fell apart. A Russian armored vehicle begins moving across the open field. An armored personnel carrier, which stands for Armored Personnel Carrier, is basically a metal box with tracks or wheels designed to carry soldiers through combat zones. With some protection, it's shielded by metal grates welded around the hull and camouflage nets tied over the top. The crew inside believes they are safe. This extra protection was added specifically to intercept drones. In theory, it should work, but something small is already in the air. Tracking every movement of the vehicle, the drone dives straight in front of the armored personnel carrier. The explosion is instantaneous. Nothing remains of the armored vehicle, just black smoke rising and debris scattered on the ground. The protective grills made no difference at all. On the other side of the field, a second armored vehicle tries to advance along the same route. He dodges the artillery fire, which starts to fall around. A mine explodes under the tracks, but the vehicle keeps moving. The lower armor withstands the impact. For a moment, it looks like he will manage to cross the danger zone. But then a Ukrainian operator, watching everything on a screen miles away, directs a kamikaze drone to intercept it. The explosion is violent, much stronger than the first, and metal fragments fly for hundreds of meters in all directions. The vehicle simply evaporates in the shockwave, raising dust and debris. When the smoke starts to dissipate, there's nothing left there, just a smoldering crater. The soldiers who were in the following vehicles probably saw this whole scene. Some of them may have served with the men who were in those two APCs. And now they have to make a decision: keep advancing or abandon the mission. Most of them choose the second option. They get out of the vehicles and run, but the drones are already chasing them. An abandoned vehicle is struck as the crew flees. Another massive explosion. The ammunition stored inside starts to detonate in small chain explosions, turning into a big fireball. The entire vehicle is consumed by flames. At this point in the battle, the Russian commanders need to decide whether to retreat or escalate the attack. They choose to escalate and decide to send in the tanks, heavy machines equipped with armor much thicker than the APCs. Some have mine rollers mounted on the front to clear a path through the minefields. One tank moves slowly across the field. The roller in front spins, detonating mines before they reach the vehicle. The system works. The tank makes it halfway across the field without issues. The crew inside is probably starting to feel a bit confident. But then comes the drone. The impact doesn't destroy the tank immediately. Instead, it hits the navigation and communication system mounted on top of the turret. The crew realizes they've lost control, they can't communicate with command anymore, and they don't know if more drones are coming. 3 men decide it's not worth waiting to find out. They open the hatches and run out of the tank, jumping and running without looking back. And they're right to do so. Seconds later, a second drone attacks the abandoned vehicle, this time hitting the rear where the engine is. Flames begin to consume the tank. The fire spreads quickly, and soon the entire rear is engulfed in intense flames. A few meters away, another tank is stopped in the middle of the field, but there is no one inside. The crew has already abandoned it. They saw what happened to the first tank. They saw how the drone found its target, even with all the protections. They didn't want to take the risk. They preferred to leave millions of dollars in equipment behind rather than stay inside it. A drone hovers above the empty vehicle, circles once, twice. The operator is studying the target, looking for the ideal spot. He chooses the junction between the turret and the hull, where the armor is thinner. The drone dives and blasts the turret off the tank. The force is so great that the turret, which weighs several tons, is thrown several meters into the air. It spins in the air before falling back to the ground with an impact that raises a cloud of dust. What remains of the hull is just twisted and charred metal. But the offensive still doesn't stop. The commanders keep sending more units. A Russian T-80 tank enters the battlefield. It's a relatively modern model with reactive armor mounted around the hull. You can even see the name written on the side of the turret in white paint. Someone took the time to personalize this tank, but that won't matter. A kamikaze drone is already in the air, flying toward the target. The pilot guides the drone with precision, adjusting its trajectory in the last seconds. The impact happens exactly at the junction between the turret and the hull. The explosive charge pierces the armor, reaches the internal ammunition compartment, and the tank explodes from the inside out. The detonation is so violent that the turret is ripped off with enough force to fly dozens of meters. When it finally falls, the sound of the impact echoes across the field. What remains of the tank are just pieces of metal scattered over a wide area, part of the chassis, fragments of the armor, a track unrolled on the ground. At this point in the battle, two armored vehicles attempt one last coordinated assault against a Ukrainian position in a small village. One of them covers the other with continuous machine gun fire, tracer rounds cutting through the air. It seems like a solid tactic, teamwork, suppressive fire while one advances. But the drones are already on their way. The first armored personnel carrier immediately loses port when its partner is hit by a drone and explodes. The commander chooses to advance alone. The vehicle speeds toward the Ukrainian positions. Cluster munitions start exploding around it, creating small craters in the ground. The vehicle swerves, keeps advancing, then it hits a mine. The explosion lifts the front of the vehicle off the ground. When it falls back down, the tracks are damaged, the engine tries to keep running, but the armored personnel carrier is immobilized, stuck, vulnerable. A Ukrainian drone is flying over the stopped vehicle. The operator doesn't waste any time. The drone descends straight toward the target. The armored personnel carrier is engulfed in flames. The fire penetrates inside through the openings created by the mine explosion. The ammunition stored inside starts to heat up. The temperature rises quickly, then comes the main explosion, so strong that the entire vehicle seems to jump off the ground. The armor plates are torn off and thrown in all directions. When the dust settles, the vehicle simply doesn't exist anymore. There's only scorched earth and twisted metal fragments left, scattered in a circle several meters wide. Russian reinforcements are on the way. Another armored personnel carrier moves forward along the same road the previous ones used, but with it, invisible and silent. Another Ukrainian drone follows. The new armored personnel carrier is hit as soon as it enters the combat zone, instantly becoming a perfect target for a second attack. Another explosion lights up the field. Now all the vehicles that attempted this coordinated attack are destroyed, every single one of them. The Russian soldiers who survive begin to abandon any vehicle that is still functional. They realize something fundamental. The vehicles don't offer protection. In fact, they're magnets for drones. It's safer to run on foot, but even the abandoned vehicles don't remain intact for long. A Ukrainian drone drops a grenade directly inside an empty armored personnel carrier. The grenade falls through the open hatch, explodes in the internal compartment. The stored fuel and ammunition catch fire immediately. The internal temperature skyrockets. The pressure builds up with nowhere to escape. The vehicle bursts open like a can of sardines. The sides are ripped off by the force of the internal explosion. Parts of the structure are thrown in all directions. The roof is torn off and flies several meters before landing. The fire burns in the wreckage for several minutes. A nearby tank meets the same fate when a grenade falls inside. Through the commander's hatch, the fire quickly spreads inside. The heat explosive charges mounted on the outside start to detonate, creating a spectacle of small explosions in sequence. Then comes the main detonation of the stored ammunition. Turret, chassis, engine parts, everything is scattered for hundreds of meters. The explosion is so strong that even an abandoned tank 50 meters away is damaged by the shrapnel. Pieces of hot metal pierce its side armor. A Russian tank covered with reactive armor and equipped with electronic warfare systems mounted on top of the turret is standing in the field. Even with all that extra protection, even with technology specifically designed to interfere with drones, it was abandoned by the crew. After hitting mines, a drone grenade falls inside it. Fire, explosion. The reactive charges detonate one by one, creating a light show. In the end, just another smoldering shell. But it's not just the direct combat vehicles that are being destroyed. The Russians rely on an entire network of support systems to keep their offensives running. One of them is the UR-77 Meteorite. It's a specialized engineering vehicle used to clear minefields. It works by firing explosive charges connected by long cables across the minefield. The charges detonate and clear a path. Each charge weighs 725 kilograms of explosives. A Ukrainian drone hits the UR-77. While it's positioning, a fire starts at the rear of the vehicle. The flames grow quickly. The crew jumps out and runs away. They know exactly what is going to happen. The flames reach the two explosive charges still mounted on the vehicle. The detonation that follows is absolutely devastating. A fireball rises dozens of meters into the air. The shockwave sweeps everything within a radius of hundreds of meters, and nearby trees are uprooted. The resulting crater is enormous. It's the kind of blast you feel in your chest from kilometers away. Another key system for Russian operations is the TOS thermobaric launcher,
TOS.
also known as Solntsepek. These weapons fire rockets that create extremely high temperature and pressure explosions, capable of destroying fortifications and clearing entire buildings. Because of their destructive power, they are considered extremely high-priority targets by Ukrainian forces. A kamikaze drone hits one of these systems. The initial explosion is already large, but then the stored thermobaric munitions start detonating in sequence. Each one creates its own fireball. The sky lights up like daytime. Millions of dollars in advanced military equipment disappear in a flash of light. A Boyevaya Machina 21 Grad rocket launcher, a truck-mounted saturation artillery system, has just fired a full salvo of rockets at Ukrainian positions. The crew works quickly to reload the vehicle. They need to move to a new position before counterfire arrives. It's standard procedure to shoot and move, but the Ukrainians have already sent a drone. It arrives before her aide can leave the location. The vehicle is hit exactly as it finishes reloading. The rockets, still not fired, all detonate at once. The second explosion is impressive. Narezhno-Orodinaya Nizkaya Artilleria self-propelled artillery systems are also being systematically hunted. Two of them are actively firing at Ukrainian fortifications. The crews work in coordination, alternating shots to maintain constant pressure, but this coordination makes them a priority target. A Ukrainian artillery unit fires a shell, hitting one of the Narezhno-Orodinaya Nizkaya Artilleria systems with surgical precision. Direct hit. The vehicle explodes seconds later, and the second Narezhno-Orodinaya Nizkaya Artilleria is also hit. The secondary explosions from the stored ammunition confirm that both targets have been neutralized, but the most valuable target is yet to come, worth up to $650 million. It's a Buk air defense system. These systems are the backbone of Russian air defense. They can detect and shoot down aircraft dozens of kilometers away, but they have a critical vulnerability. Their missiles are mounted externally, completely exposed, and when those missiles are hit, the resulting explosion is always devastating. Ukrainian intelligence forces locate one of these systems through drone reconnaissance. The coordinates are immediately sent to a RIMARS battery. The missiles are launched. They fly in precise ballistic arcs, guided by Global Positioning System. The Buk system has no chance to react when the RIMARS missiles hit, causing the explosion of the Buk's own air defense missiles. It creates a spectacle that lights up the night sky. Sparks and fragments fall like rain within a radius of hundreds of meters. Two Russian surface-to-air missile systems are positioned close to each other, ready to intercept any aerial threat. This proximity should provide mutual protection. In theory, but in practice, it only makes both vulnerable to the same attack. The Ukrainians launch precise attacks with the RIMARS. The missiles land almost simultaneously. Both systems are completely destroyed, along with an engineering vehicle that was positioned nearby to provide support. But the campaign against the Russian air defense systems doesn't stop there. In an impressive sequence, 6 systems are eliminated, 2 of them destroyed by a single coordinated RIMARS strike. The first explosion lights up the field, 3 seconds later the second one, and the surface-to-air missile systems are set ablaze. Black smoke rises in thick columns. And then it happens again, another pair of systems. First an explosion, then another, each one confirmed by secondary detonations when the defense missiles explode. If these are basic Buckham-1 systems, and all visual evidence indicates they are, Russian losses in just this coordinated series of attacks amount to approximately $1 billion. $1 billion in advanced military equipment destroyed in a matter of minutes. Lastly, on the list of high-value targets, a Zemlya daily system is a specialized vehicle used for remote mining. It can spread entire minefields while moving, quickly creating defensive barriers. The system costs between $5 and $10 million. It's specialized equipment, hard to replace. A Ukrainian reconnaissance drone detects it moving to a new position, and the coordinates are transmitted immediately. A HIMARS missile is launched. It doesn't need to hit directly. It explodes close enough for the fragmentation to completely disable the system. You can see in the footage how the missile shrapnel and the secondary explosions from the stored mines scatter the remains of the vehicle in an almost artistic pattern of destruction. As you just saw, Ukraine wiped out an entire Russian offensive systematically in just a few hours of intense fighting. Tanks that cost millions of dollars each, air defense systems that took decades to develop, and armored vehicles designed by engineers to withstand the worst possible battle scenarios, self-propelled artillery, specialized engineering vehicles, all destroyed and ruined. Why? By drones that cost a few $100s, by missiles guided through coordinates transmitted by aerial reconnaissance, by operators sitting miles away, looking at screens guiding backpack-sized weapons against targets that cost more than houses, war has fundamentally changed. Technology, which has dominated battlefields for more than a century since World War I, may have become obsolete overnight. Heavy armor. It doesn't matter when a $500 drone can find the weak spot. $1-million defense systems don't matter when precision missiles can hit them before they can react. And these images show exactly how this change is happening, explosion by explosion. The era of tanks dominating the battlefield may be ending, and we're witnessing it in real time. Now I want to know your opinion. Do you think tanks still have a place in modern warfare, or have drones and precision missiles made them completely obsolete? Leave your answer in the comments. If you found this video interesting, share it with someone who would also like to watch it, and subscribe to the channel for more detailed analyses like this. See you next time.